It is exceptionally rare for a person to rise to their ambitions. More often than not, people fall to their standards. Your day to day standard is what shapes your future, it's what shapes who you really are, right? So when you set a goal, rather than trying to focus on this like lofty thing that you have not achieved yet, it's better to focus on what your day to day is going to look like. What are you going to do every single day, or maybe every single week, or every month, however you want to structure it? What are you going to do on a regular, consistent basis that's actually going to get you there, right? Whenever I have periods in my life where I focus deeply on the day to day, on the routine, on the week by week result, I always make more progress than when I'm fixated on the end goal, right? Because when you're fixated on the end goal, you tend to look for shortcuts. You don't prioritize longevity. You don't prioritize the current day that you're even in. The further away your ideal is from you currently, the less each day matters. So if I told you you needed to get fluent in Mandarin Chinese in 4 years, what you do tomorrow doesn't matter that much. You could take tomorrow off, and at the end of the day, it wouldn't affect your result too much, right? And so people, they have these very lofty ideals, and each day has less of a value. And so instead of setting your goal as 4 years from now, I want to be fluent in Mandarin Chinese, you can have that in the back of your mind. But your actual goal, like the thing that you're striving towards, should be I want to study Mandarin Chinese for 2 hours a day. If you do that, the goal becomes inevitable. So here's what you want to do, you want to set a standard and let that be what you fixate on. And you want to set the standard in such a way that if you uphold this standard consistently, then your end goal is inevitable. Now, this standard should be something that you realistically can do either every day or every week, however you want to structure it. I wouldn't go monthly because, again, that stretches out the time span too far. But if you want to go daily or weekly, however you want to do, it should be something that you can realistically do. So if you want to learn Mandarin Chinese and you have a full-time job, 3 wives, 4 kids, 10 horses, and 40 mortgages, don't set your goal as, okay, my goal is to study 6 hours a day, because that's realistically not going to happen and you're going to fall short. And so the whole point of this is to set a standard, not to set something that's like out of reach currently for you. So if you set the standard of, okay, I'm going to study Mandarin Chinese for 2 solid hours every single day, that's something that you can actually do. Once you start doing it every single day, it becomes a part of who you are. And you want to reach the point where it would feel weird if you didn't do it, right? Like brushing your teeth, like taking a shower. If you ever go a day without taking a shower or something like that for some reason, you feel disgusting. You feel horrible. You feel like you need to shower as soon as possible. That's because for you, taking a shower every single day is a standard. And I'm not saying that you can't shoot past this. I'm not saying that like once you hit your 2 hours of Mandarin study, you're done. That's not what I'm saying. You can go 3, 4 hours a day and that's fine. But you're not trying to maintain that 3, 4 hours a day. So how do you actually pick this standard and decide how to set it? The first thing is you want to go for longevity here. You want to do something that you would actually see yourself doing for years to come. Something that you could actually see becoming a part of your daily routine and a part of, even a little bit of part of who you are in a way, right? So if sitting down and studying Mandarin Chinese for 2 hours every day for years sounds like torture for you, right? Whatever studying means to you could be input, output, whatever you want to do. If whatever you're imagining in your head for over the next couple years seems like you really don't want to do it and it seems torturous, maybe the lofty goal that you had in your mind of being fluent in Mandarin Chinese actually just isn't for you, right? When you lay it out practically and you give yourself a standard, if you can't set something that makes your goal inevitable, that you genuinely want to do, really rethink this goal. Really rethink if it's something that's even worth it for your life, right? The next thing is 80/20. I'm assuming you're familiar with 80/20 principle, how 80% of the results come from 20% of the actual work, right? Pick something that is aligned with this principle. So if your big lofty goal that you want to achieve within like a year or 2 years is to lose 100 pounds, right? Part of your standard should not be taking your daily creatine. It shouldn't be taking like a little like multivitamin supplement. None of that, because that's not consistent with the 80/20 principle. What you should actually be doing is your standard should be something like being in a caloric deficit. That's simple. And with something like 100 pounds, you might not even want to set a daily goal for that one, right? You could just set a weekly standard of being in a caloric deficit for that week. So every week you're in a caloric deficit, you're burning more calories than you're consuming every single week. And that's your standard. It doesn't matter how exactly you do it. You could decide to go with intermittent fasting, then you could give up on that, decide it doesn't work, decide to go low carb. It doesn't matter what you do. Honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as that standard of burning more calories than you're consuming is met every single week without fail, you will lose weight. And that's the thing that we're looking for here, right? Pick something that literally makes your goals impossible not to achieve if you do it. Set a general standard and commit yourself to that. That's what you got to do. There's two more things here that you're going to want to consider as well. If you have this huge, giant, lofty goal, accepting that this is going to take multiple years is not easy because, like, intellectually, you can accept that. But on the day-to-day basis, when you're really thinking about it, when you're really feeling the efforts that it's taking, you can have this inner frustration of, I'm not good enough. Why am I not there yet? Why am I not making as much progress as I thought I would? Right? Things like that, those thoughts kind of come into mind. But when you go back to your standard, it nullifies those feelings and it makes them irrelevant because, again, focus is not on the lofty thing, it's on your standard, right? And so, yeah, maybe if you're not hitting your standard, you feel ashamed. That's a good thing. That's actually a very good thing. And you should be glad that you're feeling that way and you should act accordingly. Now, this next point is absolutely crucial, 100% key. And that is to incorporate learning and refining into your standard. What do I mean by that? You shouldn't just set this standard. Let's just give, for example, the weight loss thing of lose 100 pounds in a year, right? You shouldn't just decide from the beginning, "Oh, okay, I'm going to work out every single morning at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do intermittent fasting after that. And this is how I'm going to lose that weight." And then not even reconsider your process, not continue to educate yourself on the science of weight loss. Just decide this one process and be very stubborn with it and then just continue. You should not do that because you're going to realize very quickly that you change, right? Your circumstances change. Life hits. You have to be flexible. You know what I mean? You can't just stubbornly I mean, you could, but oftentimes that's going to be even more inefficient than if you just allow yourself to refine your process. And then you don't want to take this too far either. You don't want to be that guy who's continually switching methods and not being consistent with one in order to get the results in that one thing. So, what I have done in the past that has worked for me incredibly is about a weekly cadence. I think weekly or monthly is fine. Reassess what you've been doing. Is it working? Are you getting results? Is this still sustainable? If so, you're done. Keep going. If not, what can be improved? Why is it not working out? Right? And then continue to improve from there. Keep your mind open as well. Continue learning. A lot of people I've found, especially in like the language learning community, they'll find one methodology and they'll blindly stick to it regardless of their own goals. And I'm guilty of this. I found the Refold methodology. I studied the roadmap and I blindly stuck to it for months and months. My personal goals with learning Vietnamese is to be able to communicate effectively with my my in-laws, right? Like my family. And I was using the Refold method and I was spending all my time reading because Refold recommends reading to grow vocabulary, right? And I was very stubborn about this. And I didn't really open my mind to alternative methods and alternative ways of thinking because I thought I had already found the best one, which is a trap, right? Don't do that. Always have your mind open and have regular sessions of refining and reviewing what you're currently doing. And this is the reason why we set a standard and we didn't set like a whole set of instructions for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to go from A to B. And you can't always predict the path that you're going to take from A to B. Some people can, sometimes it works out, but oftentimes you're going to take a different path than you had initially expected. And being open to that and ready for that is fine. So to kind of consolidate all of this into one analogy, imagine you're hiking, right? You're at the bottom of the trail and you want to get to the top of the mountain, right? A lot of people, what they'll do, they'll just stay at the bottom of the trail and they'll just stare at the top and just kind of admire it, right? Those are the people that never reach their goals. Other people, what they'll do is they will just try, this sounds kind of stupid, but they will walk in a straight line from where they're currently standing to the top. Like they're not following the pathing of the trail. They're just trying to walk from the straight line to the top. Like they're scaling like vertical rock walls. They're doing all this ridiculous stuff. And then eventually they realize that it's impossible and they stop, right? Because they're not actually following the proper path, right? They're trying to walk a straight line from where they're standing to the top of the mountain, which isn't possible. You have to follow a path, go through twists and turns. You have to go take a left. Even though the peak is right here, you have to make a left in order to scale around the mountain to be able to get to the peak, right? And then there's some people that just don't do that. They walk straight there and they end up getting hurt and coming back. Those are the people who aren't willing to adapt and learn and refine. What we want to do is we just want to focus on keep walking, one foot in front of the other, right? You're going to get there eventually. If you just keep walking on a trail, you're eventually going to reach the top, right? Even if you pop out and you realize you're at the wrong part of the trail, then you go back, whatever. You're eventually going to reach the top if you keep walking. But with this learning and refining mentality, we're also making sure that we're on the right trail to the top the whole time. We are leaving breadcrumbs behind. We're looking at the signs and paying attention. We're asking fellow travelers how they got to the top, where the top is, et cetera, et cetera. That way we can actually make it there quickly in a reasonable amount of time, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at. So why am I even talking about this right now? That is because I have this lofty goal of having 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and I would like to make content that helps people learn languages and shares my personal experiences, and I would like to make a living off of that. And that's what I want to do with my life. I want to travel the world, learn languages, give my experiences. That's the type of life I want to have. In order to get that, growing this YouTube channel is going to be a huge part of it. And so I'm setting a new standard for myself personally in order to make this happen. I wanted to publicize this commitment and make a public declaration of what I'm going to do in order to achieve my goals. So for 2 years, I'm going to upload a video every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There will not be a day off. There won't be a week off, nothing like that. Every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to upload a YouTube video, right? One of those videos weekly is going to be a high effort type video, meaning it's going to be either a really in-depth explanation of some kind of language learning concept or theory that gives a ton of value to anybody who watches, or it's going to be me actually going out and trying a language learning method or a language learning concept and putting many hours into that and then giving you guys a report on what I did and how it worked. If you look at my playlists, I already have them created. One of them is a playlist for language learning theory and in-depth analysis, and another one is a playlist for language learning challenges. I want to contribute to one of those playlists once per week. So I'm doing that. The videos that aren't in-depth analysis and challenges are just going to be discussions like the one we're having right now. I still want those to have value. So every single discussion will have something of value that the viewers can take away from it. That's a guarantee. 99% of people who say that they're going to do something like this don't do it. They fall apart somewhere. They just become inconsistent. They give up. I don't know what it is, but they don't do it. I'm going to be an example of the guy who actually does it, and you're going to be able to see my results 2 years from now. So if you're watching from 2 years in the future and I link this video, you can see for yourself how I've improved. You can see maybe the quality of the videos are better. Put a picture on the screen of my YouTube stats right now. As of recording this, I have 4 subscribers. My last video has 2 views, which I'm pretty sure is just me refreshing the page. That's where I'm at right now. And so, yeah, 2 years from now, you'll see where I'm at. I have no idea where it's going to be, but I can guarantee you I'm going to be a better speaker. My thumbnails are going to look better. My editing is going to look better. Everything's going to be better because every week I'm going to be reviewing my content and seeing how I can improve and acting upon those improvements. Notice in my standard that I set for myself, I didn't include anything about the editing or the thumbnail. That's too minor to include. That's the stuff that gets done in your learning and refining. So yeah, that's my commitment. That's my goal. Leave yours in the comments below. I'm actually really interested to see if anybody is willing to put their goals in the comments. And we'll check up in 2 years or however long of the time period that you want, and we'll see where you're at. All right. Get it done.